Welcome back guys to OP Painting, and we will be painting the Imperial fists, starting off with base coat. Airbrushing, we're going to use Avalanche Sunset and just give an even base coat, a little bit of airbrush flow improver, and give it 2-3 thin coats. Oh, and I just want to give a shout out to my cousin Jazz who got me into this painting. You ain't even gone unnoticed, Jazz. Thank you. After the base coat, we'll give it a gloss varnish, Vallejo gloss varnish, and give it an even coat and give it about an hour to dry, 40 minutes to an hour. After it's touch dry, get the Agrag earth shade shader and just put it all over the model, and you'll see how, because of the gloss, it creates that barrier, so it goes into all the crevices, and it's a really good technique. And after that, we'll just spray it with matte varnish once the wash is dry to bring it back to the flat looking model instead of the nice shiny gloss one, which we don't want. I've got to give a shout out to my cousin for that, Jazz, for telling me about that technique. I don't know why I didn't do it before, so thank you, Jazz. Yeah, so just continue working your way around the whole model and get it all evenly spread around the whole model. And once it's dry, you'll see the wash, it won't be around the raised surfaces. Next step, using Avalanche Sunset, we're just going over the raised areas and carefully going around them, just making it, keep the neatness nice. Just make sure the paint is watered down. Always think thin. Few coats. I did about 2 coats on here. Waited for the first one to dry, and just go around the whole model and neaten it up. And then we'll go through and paint the shoulder pad linings red, and the actual chest piece red as well, and then we'll give it a wash of, let that dry, and then go over it with the Mephiston red with the highlights carefully, and then we'll use a lighter red, and we'll just leave it for that. So we're creating simple yet effective ways of making the miniature tabletop ready. So we're just concentrating on blocking the colours out at the moment and just adding a wash and simple highlights. Use a bit of bleach bone here to paint the parchments, and blood red for the top part attached to the parchments, and Seraphine Sepia for the wash. And then I'll come back with bleach bone and slight white highlight on it. Okay, coming on to the highlights now, and we will be using Imperial yellow, and we'll water this down like we normally do. Think thin, always think thin. And this is the last stage more or less, so what we're going to do is just go over the whole model and very carefully just slowly go over the edges, make those nice neat lines. You might have to go over it with Avalanche yellow sometimes to just get the thinner lines back and forth. It's a back and forth process, don't worry, no one gets it done first time, you know, so just take your time. Little errors will happen, but it's fine, you know, we're human, it happens. So just take your time, go over it, and go over the fingertips, beneath the knee, on the knee roll, shoulder pads, and just really take your time with it. And then we can use a Screaming Skull for the final highlight, and that's like where the edges meet, where the points meet, all around the armor. And just carefully take your time with that. And for the gun, we use lead belcher. Let that dry, then give it a wash of nun oil and just a bit of gold on the markings on the gun. Simple. Just keep it simple, as well as dry brushing the edges of the gun. White, shadow grey first, then white. Really take the paint off the brush when you dry brush it. And there you have it, guys. Simple beginners on how to paint a Imperial fist. I hope you liked this tutorial, and please suggest for any other chapters you want me to paint. I will be going through a few. And if you like this, please share, subscribe, and in the meantime, happy painting, guys.